Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone.
You know what's harder than pretending to be strong? Admitting that you're not. Because the world keeps telling us, hide your feelings. Don't show weakness. Keep it together. But here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the birthplace of courage, connection, and authenticity. And if there was ever a time we needed it, it's right now. I remember a woman from one of my workshops, let's call her Sara. She was in her 50s, successful, respected, always put together. But during one session, she broke down in tears and said, "I've spent my whole life trying to be perfect, but I don't even know who I am without the mask." That room fell silent. Not because we didn't know what to say, but because we all felt what she said. It's easy to hide behind productivity, behind titles, behind social media filters. But when Sara let her walls down, something incredible happened. Others did too. By being real, she gave everyone else permission to be real. That's the paradox of vulnerability. When we're honest about our pain, we don't push people away. We pull them closer. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you said, "I'm not okay"? When was the last time you showed up without having it all figured out? Most of us think vulnerability means crying on cue or sharing every detail of our lives. But that's not it. Vulnerability means being brave enough to show your true self, even when you can't control the outcome. It's saying, "I love you," first. It's admitting, "I made a mistake." It's starting over when life knocks you down. You know what's harder than pretending to be strong? Admitting that you're not. Every day, we wake up to a world that applauds perfection, that rewards those who seem unshakable, who never falter, who never show a crack in their armor. From the moment we open our eyes, messages flood in, on social media, at work, in our families, telling us to hide our feelings, to keep up appearances, to smile even when our hearts are breaking. And somewhere along the way, we start to believe it. We start to think that showing any kind of vulnerability is a weakness, a flaw, something that might push people away. But here's the thing no one tells you. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the very thing that makes us human. It's the birthplace of courage, creativity, joy, and deep, meaningful connection. It's what allows us to show up fully in a world that often asks us to shrink ourselves just to fit in. When you allow yourself to be seen as you truly are, with all your fears, doubts, and imperfections, you are actually doing something radical. You are daring to live authentically, and that is far more powerful than any mask of perfection. Let me tell you a story. I once met a woman named Sara in one of my workshops. She was in her 50s, successful, admired, and always seemed composed. But that day, she spoke softly and then, mid-sentence, broke down in tears. She admitted, "I've spent my whole life trying to be perfect, but I don't even know who I am without the mask." For a moment, the room went silent. Not because we didn't know how to respond, but because we all felt the weight of her truth. It was like a mirror reflecting the parts of ourselves we try so hard to hide. And something remarkable happened in that moment. Walls came down. People around her started to share their own fears, their own struggles, their own stories of pretending to be someone they weren't. This is the paradox of vulnerability. It feels risky, frightening, even exposing. But the very act of showing up honestly pulls people closer. It creates an invisible thread of empathy and trust. The courage to admit you're not okay, to say, "I need help," to let someone see your heart instead of your highlight reel, that courage is magnetic. It's the thread that connects us in a world that so desperately needs real human connection. So when you feel that pull to hide, to pretend, to shrink yourself just so you won't be judged, remember Sara. Remember the power in showing up as you are. Because vulnerability isn't about oversharing or being dramatic. It's about showing up, being seen, and daring to live fully even when it's uncomfortable. And in that discomfort, in that raw honesty, you will find your strength. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you really admitted to yourself that you weren't okay? Not just saying it in passing, not just posting a vague status online, but truly letting yourself feel it and acknowledging it out loud. For most of us, it's been far too long. We live in a culture that rewards stoicism, that praises those who keep it together, no matter what storms rage inside. And somewhere along the way, We start believing that if we show our cracks, our tears, or our doubts, we might be unworthy, unlovable, or incapable. But here's what science and human experience both tell us: vulnerability is not a liability. It's the bridge to deep, authentic connection. It's what allows other people to see us, really see us, beyond the masks we wear. Vulnerability is not about spilling every detail of your life. It's about showing up even when you're scared, uncertain, or imperfect. It's about saying, I'm human, and I don't have it all figured out, and trusting that your worth is not tied to perfection. Think about the relationships in your life that feel meaningful, the ones where you can breathe and be yourself. What do they all have in common? Someone had to take the first step. They had to show their authentic self and risk being rejected or misunderstood. It might have been a simple confession of fear, a humble apology, or admitting a mistake at work. That act of courage, the willingness to be seen, sparked empathy, trust, and connection. That's the invisible power of vulnerability. Psychologically, when we hide our true selves, our brains get a temporary sense of safety. We think, if no one knows my fear or pain, I won't get hurt. But in reality, this kind of hiding creates isolation, loneliness, and even anxiety. Connection doesn't happen through perfection. It happens through honesty. It happens when we allow ourselves to be fully present, even if we can't control the outcome. Vulnerability is the fuel for belonging. When we are brave enough to be real, we invite others to do the same, and suddenly, the relationships that once felt distant become alive with trust and authenticity. So ask yourself, are you showing up for your life, or are you hiding behind routines, responsibilities, or the carefully curated versions of yourself? Are you willing to risk discomfort to experience the depth of connection that only honesty can bring? Because here's the truth: the world doesn't need another flawless, polished, untouchable version of you. The world needs the real one. The world needs you, with all your courage, all your cracks, all your beautiful vulnerability. Let's take a moment to really understand what vulnerability does for us, not just emotionally, but biologically, psychologically, and socially. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we're stepping into space that most people avoid because it feels uncomfortable, scary, and unpredictable. Our brains are wired to protect us from pain, so the instinct is to hide, to shield, to put up walls. But those walls, while protective in the short term, slowly erode our sense of belonging, our joy, and our capacity to fully experience life. Connection, empathy, and trust don't emerge from perfection. They emerge from courage, the courage to be seen as you are. Real courage isn't a dramatic leap off a cliff. It's the quiet decision to show up when you're exhausted, afraid, or unsure. It's saying, I don't have all the answers, and that's okay, and actually meaning it. Psychologists tell us that human beings crave three things more than almost anything else: authenticity, emotional safety, and belonging. When we hide behind masks or perfectionism, we deny ourselves all three. But when we dare to show our real selves, even in small ways, we activate the same pathways in our brains that light up when we feel safe, understood, and connected. Think about the small ways vulnerability shows up in life. It might be admitting you're struggling at work instead of pretending everything is fine. It might be telling a loved one how much they mean to you, even if your heart feels shaky. It might be asking for help when life feels heavy. These aren't small acts. They are radical acts of courage. Every time we do this, we teach our minds that it's safe to be seen. We teach our hearts that our worth is not tied to perfection. And we give others permission to do the same. Here's the truth that most people overlook: vulnerability is not the thing that breaks us. It's the thing that makes us whole. It's the birthplace of empathy, creativity, resilience, and intimacy. When you allow yourself to be real, messy, and human, you become a magnet for authentic connection. People don't want your polished, untouchable version. They want the you who laughs when life is messy, cries when it hurts, and keeps showing up even when it's uncomfortable. So if you're waiting for the perfect moment to be brave, to share your truth, or to show up fully in your life, stop waiting. That moment is now. Vulnerability is not a risk, it's an investment. The more you practice it, the more resilient you become, the deeper your relationships grow, and the more your life transforms from one of surface-level survival to one of rich, wholehearted living. So here's the part where I want you to pause and really hear me. You don't have to have it all together to be worthy of love, respect, or connection. You don't have to hide your fear, your doubts, or your mistakes to be enough. In fact, it's precisely when you embrace your imperfections, when you show up even when it's messy and uncertain, that you become truly magnetic. That's where the real power lives. Vulnerability isn't something you do once and check off a list. It's a lifelong practice, a commitment to yourself that you will no longer shrink to make others comfortable. Start with small acts of courage today. Send that message you've been holding back. Admit you're struggling instead of pretending everything is fine. Reach out to someone you care about and share something real, even if your voice shakes. Each time you do this, you build a muscle of authenticity, and you create ripples that go far beyond what you can see. You give permission to others to do the same. And in that shared courage, something extraordinary happens. People start to see the real you, and in turn, you begin to see yourself more clearly. The world doesn't need another person who hides behind perfection, another person who sacrifices their own truth for comfort or control. The world needs you, your real, brave, imperfect, shining self. And the beautiful part is, the moment you choose to show up, the moment you choose to be vulnerable, you unlock doors that were always meant for you. Doors to deeper relationships, to meaningful work, to joy, to love, and to a life that feels fully alive. So here's my invitation, my challenge to you today: show up anyway. Even if your hands are trembling, even if your heart is racing, even if the outcome is uncertain. Show up for your life. Show up for the people who matter. Show up for yourself. Because vulnerability is not a weakness, it's your superpower. It's the thing that allows you to connect, to heal, to grow, and to truly belong. And if this message touched something inside you, take a moment to share it with someone who needs to hear it. Comment below and tell me one way you'll show up this week, even if it scares you. Let's create a movement of courage together, one vulnerable act at a time. Because when you choose to be seen fully and unapologetically, you don't just change your own life, you change the world around you. So here's your reminder today. You don't have to have it all together to be worthy of love, belonging, or respect. The world doesn't need a perfect version of you. It needs the real one. Show up messy. Show up scared. Show up anyway. Because vulnerability isn't the thing that breaks us. It's the thing that makes us whole. If this message touched something inside you, take a moment. Pause, breathe, and share this video with someone who hides their heart behind a smile. Together, let's make honesty viral again.